Ooh, that's
That was
fun.
fun.
That's fucking fun. I like that.
I like it.
Yeah, that's fun.
Good idea, Andrew. Good fucking. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to episode 9 of Pineapples with Pam. We are your hosts, Pat.
I'm Andrea.
And I'm Mike, and we are getting ready to demolish some pineapples.
Technically, that was my line, but yes, we are.
Oh, damn it. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I forgot who does the punchline, and I just was like, oh, no, I forgot. And then I just said something. So
It's all right. I mean, I was going to make a joke about cannolis. 'Cause that's my favorite part of the movie. But
Cannoli car. Oh,
yes.
Yo,
the fucking dialogue. in the whole movie. Oh,
I swear, some of the dialogue in this movie is both like the best and worst.
It's so bad. It's so great.
I was laughing for good and bad reasons throughout
Yes.
the movie.
Yes. Oh, my God. Exactly.
Which is a Sylvester Stallone and Wesley Snipes movie from 1993. It's horrible and awesome simultaneously. And tell us a little bit about the movie, Mike.
Well, you picked it.
Yeah, you picked it.
Oh yeah, I did. This is my that's right. That's
Yeah.
right. So I'll give you.
I mean, I can, but go ahead.
I'll give you the IMDb synopsis is pretty much on point. A police officer who's put into cryo sleep is brought back in the future to help solve a crime in a utopia because they don't have crimes in the future anymore and they need someone from the past to deal with crimes from the past.
Yes, and I would just like to add the footnote that the dates that they travel from and to
Oh my
are
god.
1996, which is so putting that in the context of this film, and then to 2032.
Right. So we're not too far off.
We are very close, in fact, to this time period, which I think is just always fun to almost put into retrospect what they think the future would have been like.
Yeah. I mean, I can't see that they were right about any of this.
Any of it.
Besides maybe the self-driving cars.
And Arnold Schwarzenegger.
And so, you know, LA burning down and massive riots everywhere.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. And then obviously they got the president exaggeration wrong, but Schwarzenegger did in fact get into politics.
He did.
I had a little piece of trivia about that.
Oh fuck yeah.
Which is amazing.
That's our next part. So take it away, Andrea.
Yeah, so basically in the movie, Sandra Bullock starts explaining about how Schwarzenegger was so well liked, they created the 61st Amendment to the Constitution to allow naturalized people to become the president in order for Schwarzenegger to become the president. That happened out there. Life in the early 2000s, as we know, he became governor of California. And at that time, there were, I think, a few Republican senators that attempted to pass a bill to allow natural-born citizens to run as president because they liked Schwarzenegger. So
Wow.
That's great.
That's amazing.
Art
imitates life. Sometimes the opposite.
Yeah. The movie was like weirdly prophetic about the wrong things.
Yes.
Right. So next up, who did Stallone originally want to play Simon Phoenix?
Wait, Stallone wanted to pick somebody to be his own nemesis? Well, that's a little arrogant.
Well, I do believe that.
Did he direct it?
No,
but
producers, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely one of the producers. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure.
Okay, so he'll probably want a little involvement in it then. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Who did he want originally as Simon Phoenix?
In 1993.
There's a clue with a piece of dialogue in the movie. They crack a joke about it.
Oh no.
Was it Arnold?
No.
No, oh man.
I don't know.
Oh no, because I was like they mentioned Rambo, but that was just an inside.
No. So you remember and Sandra Bullock's character finally snaps and kicks ass, and he goes, "Damn."
Oh, Jackie Chan.
Jackie Chan.
Yo.
What?
Jackie Chan movies.
Imagine.
Yeah, but he didn't like it because he was worried about how Chinese audiences would take him as a villain because he always plays the hero. And that's actually pretty woke of you, Brother Stallone. Okay. No, Chan was worried about that. That's why.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, no doubt, Chan. Okay.
Can you imagine that would have actually been amazing to see Jackie Chan? like now that I kind of wish that that's what had happened.
Yeah, there's a part of me that did kind of wish that that's what would happen because, Jackie Chan did always kind of have the pro tag role, and sometimes I think actors do super well in a role that they're uncomfortable in and then put effort into fitting.
Yeah.
It would have been an interesting watch and probably a very different movie, probably even more tongue-in-cheek than it already is.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it would have been way more tongue-in-cheek.
Which now that I'm thinking about it, I think it is, in hindsight, very tongue-in-cheek. I think at the time they meant it to be serious.
Well, at the time, it was kind of what felt like the modus operandi of action movies at the time.
Yeah, but I feel like it was intentional back then. But when we look back on it now, it looks like it's all tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah.
Especially Wesley Snipes. I feel like he purposely was cheeky. But like Stallone definitely, I don't think was like meant to be as tongue-in-cheek as he is.
Exactly. I would take that as true. I don't know how Snipes felt about making the movie, but I know he hated his hair enough to shave his head after. He didn't like what they did to his hair, so they shaved it all off as soon as the movie wrapped.
The blonde or the haircut itself?
I think both.
Yeah.
Speaking of his hair, do you know what famous athlete was so inspired by his hair in this movie that they themselves...
Dennis Rodman.
Yeah.
Dennis Rodman, yeah. It had to be Dennis Rodman.
Yes.
I mean, that's just a little too easy of a pick because you just don't know anybody else who went that far with anything in the sports field. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Did you guys know that they had to ask Wesley Snipes to, slow himself down a bit because he was moving so fast that all of his moves were blurred on camera? So that's why...
Wow.
What a fucking badass.
That's why his scenes look a little clunky, because he was like purposely slowing himself down.
Oh, I love that.
Well, there's a part of me that at this point in my life, I'm starting to think that Wesley Snipes has a clause in his contract that says he has to do martial arts.
That's kind of like how he got famous, because he's like...
Oh, yeah, I guess so. I mean, I'm not against it. I promote it. If anything, I love Wesley Snipes action films. I mean, I'm a Blade fan. You know what I mean? So, like...
Sure.
Absolutely. You know who was originally playing What's-Her-Face, Bullock's role, and then she's, left the production because of quote-unquote creative differences?
Sandra Bullock was not originally in the movie?
Her character was played by somebody else until they left the film because of quote-unquote creative differences.
Was it Halle Berry?
Nope.
No, I would guess Drew Barrymore.
No, Lori Petty.
Lori Petty.
I don't know who that is.
I'm going to look.
Point Break. She was the love interest in Point Break.
Oh.
I know exactly who you're talking about. She's Tank Girl.
Yeah.
I am so glad it wasn't her. I can't see her in that role.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I can't see her playing the super cheeky, innocent, what is her name? Liliana? Her role. I couldn't see her doing that either.
I feel like I really overall enjoy Sandra Bullock, and I would have to say that in this role it was an unexpected, because I don't normally see her in action movies like this per se. Maybe that's not true. She did action stuff in Miss Congeniality and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I guess this was a very fitting role for her. She did the whole kind of awkward fan, but also able to kick ass kind of role. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I personally was actually pretty happy with her female representation in the movie, considering the time period of this movie.
Yeah, she was all right. She was just way too wide-eyed, and what for me, that's a lot of what I was laughing at was her dialogue. It was
well, I loved her kind of her corny adoration for the 20th century, right? And there was a part what was it? But I also liked, kind of a, not to say strong female character, but she held her own in combat, right? Yeah. And she fucking shot down Stallone.
She does.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, no doubt. But obviously there was a love interest there because she did want to, be intimate with him.
Do the hunka chunka.
Whole love interest aspect at the end with the whole kiss thing, I thought was just kind of run of the mill.
Coy about it. With the sex, that's what I liked about that part. That I felt was refreshing for that time period.
Yeah.
Very coy, batting of eyelashes, and she was like, I like you, and you want a bone?
Yeah.
Yo, it's so funny. And honestly, the whole approach, and it's something that I'll get into later about because that whole scene is indicative of something I really actually love about this movie that makes me actually love it way more than I averagely would for a movie of this type and time period.
I got two more things. I just realized I took this note as we were talking about, like, Wesley Snipes kind of did not take it as seriously, and Stallone took it serious. Hit a quote from him about this movie. He's on record as saying, "It's a good action film ahead of its time." So he was definitely.
Wait, who said that?
No, Stallone said that.
Oh,
that's so corny. I love it. Ahead of its time.
Oh my God, yes. GM loaned $69 million worth of concept cars to the movie.
Holy shit.
Wow.
One is a replica of GM's ultralight 100 miles per gallon concept car.
Interesting.
All the self-driving cars and stuff were
all the vehicles I'm gathering must have been in that stuff that GM gave them.
That's crazy.
Word. I got a couple other things, but we can talk about it in the context of the movie. It'll be easier to bring it up then.
Okay.
Oh, word.
Cool. Yeah, so take it away. Who would like to take their first swing at this corny but
Well, I remember last week Andrea was saying something about how she wasn't really looking forward to the movie, so I'm curious how you responded to it.
It was it was a film, that's for sure. That's a part of cinematic history. Okay, it would not have been my choice, obviously, but I did laugh a lot, so I certainly enjoyed it in a way, but I definitely was laughing at the expense of the movie, a lot of it.
What about it? Give me something that you were laughing at the expense of.
Oh, I immediately started laughing when Stallone bungee jumped into a battle zone in the opening scene.
Yo.
They didn't waste any time.
I was immediately off my rocker.
They don't waste any time. They're just like, look, he's the most badass guy ever.
Yeah, and they immediately start in with the dialogue. Maniac in to find one.
Yeah. Yo, absolutely.
So much testosterone. So much testosterone in this film. One of his first moves in his opening hand-to-hand combat scene is a fucking nut shot. That sets you up for the whole movie right there. Those first 5 minutes. Okay, I know what I'm getting into.
Right. The movie really doesn't deviate from the typical retro action formula. It's what you see in the first 5 minutes is what you get for the rest of the movie.
Exactly.
Was anyone surprised? All right, so I'm not going to lie. I went into this movie obviously expecting some kind of run-of-the-mill action, kind of almost Rambo-esque. I did not expect such a well-immersed world.
The future is, again, very consistent.
Very consistent. The dialogue of everybody in the future and their actions are consistent. And I loved that. If there's one way to win me over in a movie, it is to make me feel like things are believable.
And I got to say that as hilarious as I think the dialogue and all that stuff was, I do have to give credit to all the actors. All of them were not phoning it in. They were all doing their job well,
Absolutely.
Including Snipes, who obviously wasn't fond of the film, and Dennis Leary, who hated the film and called it a piece of trash, the worst piece of garbage ever.
Wait. Hold on. You're telling me that was Dennis Leary as Edgar Friendly?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, dude.
Rant about cigarettes and shit.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, I want to run through the city covered in Jello, naked.
There was a part of me that was like, all right, the whole America fuck yeah speech. I was like, come on, okay, it was a little redonkadonk. But because that was one of the things I hate. I loved the whole rising over draconian type prison system shit, right?
Yeah.
But then to be like, I want burgers and bacon and I'm like,
but that whole society is so repressed. Like, they don't have any of that. So why wouldn't he say those things?
Yeah.
No, you know what? Fair enough. I guess they just made it seem so much of exactly what it is to be a United States citizen.
They actually rewrote that part once Dennis Leary was cast, and all of that dialogue for that little monologue right there is him ranting. That's like all his.
Really? Oh, well, then I appreciate it that much more, because I'm a fucking Dennis Leary is hilarious. Because that's the thing, is I appreciate every sentiment of that speech and what that character was doing. And I personally thought, depending on, because this is a sci-fi action film by all intensive purposes, right?
Yeah, it is.
I thought that Edgar Friendly was the one who hacked Wesley Snipes.
Right.
Yeah, that's what they want you to believe, is that it was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was
And then I was kind of like, pleasantly enjoying the. Oh, it is the, guy in charge who's actually doing the bullshit.
Have you never seen this movie?
No.
Oh, shit!
Wait, I was under the impression that neither of you had seen it.
No, I've seen this movie. I saw it way back in the day. That's why I was groaning about it.
No, this was a first time view for me, and again, overall, I really enjoyed it. But there's a lot of it that to me are just kind of standard 90s red flags of stuff, like the fact that Wesley Snipes has to have a hip hop soundtrack when he fights.
Yeah.
Like some of his very, cultural speak that has to be in there. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah.
Like just some of those things that I'm just like, all right, whatever. You know what I mean? But I almost laugh at it because I know that it's a part of the time period.
Yeah.
And as a retro view, I enjoyed it more as like the almost kind of comedy, tongue-in-cheek, not so serious type shit. So it allowed me to actually personally really enjoy it a lot more. Once I saw how consistent the world was with every scene, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is a dope film. This is a dope film.
The set design was really good. The computer graphics were horrible, but the set design was great.
The scene with Wesley Snipes when he first gets out and he's at the booth, right?
Uh-huh.
And like just everything from where you really get a sense of how these people do not know how to handle violence and stuff like that, right?
When the cops show up and
oh my god, when that cop was so funny.
Held thing telling him what to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like,
Dude,
the thing is, like that kind of humor really, it really, tickles me,
Fucking hilarious.
You are right about how consistent it is too. They really did kind of go to great lengths to ensure every single time he curses, you hear the machine go off in the background.
Exactly.
Yeah. No matter how quiet it is, it's there.
Yeah, it doesn't miss either. Like, I think it even catches damn in hell.
Yes.
It's so good. And again, every scene of the whole outlet of how things are kind of decorated, you know what I mean, in this time period, like when he's at Sandra Bullock's place, right? The way that they do the sexing, right?
Yeah, I was just gonna say the most perfect thing to add to that ambiance of the world, the fucking Love Boat theme music while they're fucking.
Oh my god, exactly.
Like that one, they could have picked any song, but no, they picked a fucking TV show because they all talk about that fucking radio station in the car.
Oh, the commercials. I didn't know what the song was when they were having sex, but that's kind of hilarious. That's so good.
The captions, and it says it in the captions.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, exactly.
I probably would have picked up on it because I used to watch that show all the time as a kid.
That's
old.
Yeah. But that's the thing is, so many parts of this movie, really the world building in that regard, right? And everything, and of course I appreciated some of the action scenes. It was pretty run-of-the-mill 90s, hanging from a spinning thing, getting shot at, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, trigger warning for people if anybody's never seen this. Eyeball trauma. Yikes.
Oh yeah. I wasn't expecting that really either.
I hate that.
It's a pretty broad kind of violence that you see in this movie. You know what I mean?
Some of it's comedy violence, jokey, funny, but then some of it's kind of Wesley Snipes fucks people up in this movie.
Yeah, but with the exception of the eyeball, it didn't seem there was not a crazy amount of gore like there normally was in that.
Yeah. The first thing I thought with that eyeball was, he told you to keep an eye out for me.
if you look at the violence in this movie comparative to a lot of even Stallone's other movies, like Rambo's fucking violent. Those movies are like brutal.
Sure.
Especially like Rambo 4, like holy shit.
This is like cutesy violence.
Yeah, it's like comedy.
It's a little cutesy.
Comedy violence.
Not that any, like, you know.
I mean, he says heads up.
Yeah, well, I mean, Sandra Bullock does look good fighting, although I'm not sure if that's a double or not. Whatever they did made it look really good.
I don't think it is, if I were to not to, automatically assume, but I know that Sandra Bullock has done a lot of action and has prided herself on getting involved and actually doing her shit.
I would believe it. I would believe that it was her.
I definitely remember like having a big crush on her at a time in my life.
It might not have been, now that I think about it, because another little tidbit is that Wesley Snipes was super insistent about doing all of his own stunts. So they would take the day, film all his scenes with him. When he would leave for the day, they would get the stunt double and refilm the scenes.
Oh, gotcha.
No
well, don't worry,
shit.
Sandra Bullock. I still had a crush on you. There's no judgment here.
Was there any explanation offered for why that was the case?
So that was a piece of tidbit that Dennis Leary mentioned in one of his interviews.
Interesting. I find that really interesting, because it's like, why would you want a stunt double to do? I'm trying to like understand the context of that. Like, why would you want the stunt double to do what he probably can clearly do better?
Right. Definitely for insurance reasons, but he's already doing the stunt. So like, you're not saving any kind of insurance cost by shooting it again.
I mean, it also just could be a delay in shooting in an event of an injury. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like timelines can get postponed and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know. I guess I can see a justification for it, but if someone is that confident and has a history in it, it's not like you have like, baby's first shoot coming in being like, I want to be Jackie Chan.
Yeah.
So you have someone who's well regarded already in the industry coming in saying, yo, I already have proof that I do this and I'd like to do my own stunts. Then to me, that would be like, yeah, go ahead. You're going to be better at your job if you're doing what you want to do, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I can at least understand the corporate or executive like philosophy on saving your ass.
I thought that was interesting little.
It is, yeah. And I also kind of find it funny that Dennis Leary was kind of talking shit about the movie and like saying stuff like that. Like that's not typical, I don't think, for actors to like reveal that sort of information.
I don't know. I feel like it's actually pretty. I don't know. Maybe I feel differently. I feel like it's actually pretty commonplace for people to be talking shit like in post interview, be like, yeah, this person was fucked up, and then it's like, this person said that they were fucked up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, well, look at how fucking Harrison Ford handles his movies and how he talks shit about it.
Oh my god,
he's the man crush
in Hollywood.
He's the most what?
He's the biggest shit talker in Hollywood.
He sure is.
I love Harrison Ford.
He's so over it. He's just like,
for real.
Being famous. He doesn't give a shit anymore.
Yeah, and it sucks because I'm sure that me saying I love Harrison Ford, he's like, go fuck yourself, kid. But I'm also like, thanks, buddy. You know what I mean?
He's the grumpy old man that you fucking love to hate.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. 100%.
Yeah. Oh my god. I'm looking over my little notes that I can't get over the police dialogue during like, violent scenes. Proceed with extreme assertiveness.
Yeah.
We're not trying to handle this kind of violence.
Well, that's what I mean by the immersion of everything. First off, Rob Schneider came in, right?
Yes, Rob fucking Schneider. Oh my god.
It's so fucking funny. I mean, like, I don't know. There was just so much about the movie that I actually really ended up enjoying overall, right? And then usually only during certain things, I'm like, oh yeah, certain stereotypes of the time or like whatever. But it was actually like a pretty fun movie that I would totally understand having some popular memes made out of, or having like a super cult following of people who are like, this movie was my fucking jam. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, that's literally why I picked it. When I was a kid, this movie was on repeat pretty regularly in my household. Like, my dad had us watch it maybe a little bit too early, but like there were so many lines from this movie that my sisters and I would repeat to each other that we thought were just like the funniest fucking thing in the world. Like,
I'm sorry. Just you were saying shit that you used to say back and forth to each other, and I just shouted out, "You really licked his ass."
You really licked his ass, kicked his ass, kicked his ass.
What did you and Michelle used to say to each other?
The part when they crash the car and she's like, "What happened?" And he comes out, he's like, "I don't know." The way he says it, it just turned into a cannoli.
I thought your life force had been prematurely terminated.
Yeah, I thought I was history too. What the hell happened? All of a sudden, this car turned into a cannoli.
It's secure phone, and it saved your life.
He was so like,
his sex faces are awful. Oh my god.
Yeah.
That scene is so awkward.
It's even more awkward than what I remembered.
Yeah, and weirdly, actually, I guess that kind of is like weirdly prophetic, like sort of like pseudo virtual reality, and that's sort of like where we're headed with things. And but that scene, his faces are just really uncomfortable to look at.
If I was her in that virtual world and his faces were what was flashing in my mind, I would take the hat off and be like, "Oh, thank you, but no,
we're done.
No, okay, we're done here."
I think one of my favorite scenes is probably when Wesley Snipes goes to the museum and he's like looking around at like the weapons and everything, and the security guard comes in and he's like,
"What's your boggle?"
Yeah, what seems to be your boggle? And Wesley Snipes is my boggle. And he tosses him through a fucking window.
Yo. Again, that's the thing. Yeah, the dialogue, because of the setting, the dialogue is actually some of my favorite. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And because they came from the 90s, Wesley Snipes' whole overalls outfit is like going to be my Halloween costume if I can help it.
The costuming is pretty great. The guy who plays Otho.
Oh my god, yes.
He's always that character, and he's always dressed exactly the same.
I swear to God, yes. Yeah.
Right?
Who?
Like
the guy that plays Otho in Beetlejuice.
Oh, right. Otho's from Beetlejuice. That's right.
Oh, wait. Are you talking about Associate Bob?
Yes. Yeah.
I love Associate Bob.
Dude, he's the same guy in every movie.
Every movie.
And he dresses the same way in every movie.
Yeah.
I love it. And I remember him in a movie where he's swinging an urn. I don't know why. He's like I think he was in like a priest outfit or like a monk's robes or something like that.
Oh, like a tabernacle?
Yeah. You know, either which way, I saw Associate Bob and I was like, we got you.
Yeah, dude, that dude is funny as hell, and like the costuming for the movie is
great.
Like, it's great, and he's dressed exactly the same in every movie he's in.
Or at the very least, the same fashion. I think Otho was more of a suit person, but still that same type of fashion sense.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. He does wear a suit in Beetlejuice. You're right. Also a great movie.
Yeah.
No, I mean, yeah, I gotta say, like, weren't really many. The only downsides to the movie were just some of the corniness and, like, you know, general standard kind of run-of-the-mill pro-freedom, blah, 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 right? Not that I'm, like, obviously anti-freedom, but, like, it was just the way that they, like, you know, hyper-exaggerated being a good person into, like, you can't even have salt. Like, salt is illegal. You know what I mean?
That's a really good way to control the populace, is by controlling all of the stuff that guy controlled.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah, and
what I found interesting, though, was this. Here was a question I had that I wasn't sure broke anyone else's immersion, because I did ask this to myself. Is LA the only place doing this?
Yeah, they don't really do a good job of explaining what's happening outside of LA.
Like, why don't you just go to somewhere that isn't LA, right?
She talks about, like, the earthquake and the wars, so
the entire world was probably affected by.
That would be my assumption.
No, that's fair enough.
I actually think that the representation of how the guy running everything, his world and, like, quote unquote, like, underworld, like, where all the people that don't want to follow those rules, I think it was like a pretty good representation of oppression, bad, freedom, good. You know, like, personal freedom should be a thing. Like, if you want salt, you should be able to have salt.
Stallone calls out the fascism of the whole operation. Like, he literally says that, fuck this fascist crap.
Yeah.
Yes. And I do agree with the overall messaging at the end, because, like, you know, Stallone is sitting in between the two extremes, and he's like, you guys need to be more vulgar. You need to be much more clean. Yeah. And somewhere in the middle, you'll figure it out.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I kind of was like, yes, exactly. Like, people got to stop being so hyper, people just got to stop being so extreme to the point where it prevents a dialogue or opportunity for growth. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or that so hyper fixated on one thing that their version of how things should be limits other people from
Yes,
living their
correct.
life in a
Well,
way
there's a
that's right for
balance
them.
between what's best for society and the hyper individualism.
Yes. Right. And that's I think kind of their whole his
It
whole
kind of
thing
felt like
by
that was the
saying
whole
that.
shtick, which I really vibed with. Again, that's the thing. I feel like this was a really good movie for me. I enjoyed it.
I'm going to go ahead and say that this is probably a pretty short episode just because I
don't even know what else I would have to say about it. It almost felt so run-of-the-mill that you're like, yep, good movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Cinematography was all right if we were to really go through the filming stuff, right? Let's just try and punch it up a little bit and extend, right? Was there anything that actually stuck out to me? Not. It was the world building. Everything else to me felt pretty run-of-the-mill. You had cheesy punchlines, choreography that I've effectively seen 100 times, but is still kind of good in the moment, I guess, right? It was an enjoyable film in all the respects, but what really pulled me in was the way that everything was tied together in the narrative and the world, right?
Yeah.
And so, with that said, I don't really have many. My main negatives really had to just do with the way that they represent certain cultures or stereotypes, as was par for the course in that time, and still is today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it just kind of is what it is in that respect.
I think that's actually a pretty good summary. It is run of the mill. It makes a point to kind of make some social commentary.
Yeah.
And then, it just delivers some funny stuff and
then credits.
lets you get on with it.
It's not trying to win best Oscar. Fun and entertaining, and it's a good way to turn your brain off for an hour and a half.
Yes.
It knows what it is, I think.
More now in hindsight, it knows what it is. I think they intended it to be, obviously Stallone intended it to be more serious than what it was.
Yeah.
But in hindsight, I think it is what it is, and it's not the worst film in the world. I've definitely seen worse.
I'm curious, upon second viewing, because this I assume is the second time. I'm guessing you haven't watched it in the interim between when you first saw it and now.
No, definitely not.
What was it as bad as you thought it was going to be?
I actually enjoyed it more than I expected I was going to. I thought I was really, really, really hate the whole testosterone fest of it all, because I can nowadays with my the brain and being the adult that I am, I sometimes I just gotta opt out of all the testosterone. But this one was good, and they had a femme character that it might not have passed the Bechdel test, but she was still pretty, you know what I mean? She was pretty autonomous as her own person.
Yeah.
Though there was that romance element and she did talk about him a lot, she still had her own motivations for doing so.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So what's your second viewing Pineapple rating? My second viewing Pineapple rating, I think previous to watching it, I probably would have said 3 or 4, but I'll give it a solid 7.
Fuck yeah, that's an upgrade.
Yeah, that's a double rating right there.
It's enjoyable.
Yo, you doubled your pineapples, yo. You got fruity.
It's enjoyable, and I would recommend it to somebody that was looking for something brainless and fun to watch. Here you go. This is perfectly fits that category.
Yeah. I would even venture to say that it's a good party movie. If you're hanging out with friends, just throw it on in the background and you can kind of laugh at the funny parts when they pop on and not really pay too much attention.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I'm going to, purely for nostalgic reasons, give it 8 out of 10 pineapples, because I would say objectively, I'd probably also give it 7, but for nostalgia, I'm going to give it 8 pineapples.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a solid 7, if not because I don't do points, right? So I'm not doing a 7.5 type nonsense. It's a good 7. You know what I mean? For me.
So 15 out of 10 pineapples for Mike.
You bastard.
As usual, you just love every movie.
No.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, I guess technically this coming week, we're going to be doing our first, I don't know what we would call it, but it's basically we're going to be building a list. It'll be a mini episode, 5 to 10 minutes. We'll be building a list of our top 10 retro action movies, and we all have to agree, the three of us have to agree on what that top 10 list will be. So it'll probably take a month of doing these mini episodes before we can get to an agreement of what the top 10 best retro action movies should be. And we'll be doing this every month to coincide with whatever our monthly theme is. So, if one month we decide to go with horror, we'll do our top 10 horror movies, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, I think that's it. Guys, gals, and non-binary pals, we are Pineapples with Pam.
Wait.
Oh, we have a movie for next month. Week. What is it? Tell us. What's our movie next week, Andrea?
In honor of the actress who did not get to finish her role, I choose Tank Girl.
Oh, God. This might be the only time where you're able to hurt me. Oh, no. Okay.
You're welcome, motherfucker.
Yo, word.
Oh, no. Okay. Tank Girl it is. Tank Girl next month.
And
Next week.
Yeah, and don't forget to follow us on Instagram.
Yes, that's right. We have our Instagram is up and running, and that is PWPAM Pod. We will also have our Facebook probably at the same thing pretty soon, but we're definitely on Instagram, and we'll have some posts up there that will kind of allow you to answer some questions and stuff. It'll be fun. Or not. It'll be fun. So we're Pineapples with Pam. I'm Pat.
I'm Andrea.
And I'm Mike. And we'll see you next week for another digestible pineapple.